City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Abraham?
Present.
Commissioner Holland?
Present.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Here.
Commissioner Wilson?
Here.
Mayor Harless?
Present and here. Oh, man. All right.
Changed. You were here last week.
I like to keep you on your toes, Alan. I don't want to be.
Commissioner Abraham, would you do the invocation for us, please? And we'll stay standing for the pledge.
Our Father which art in heaven, Father, we ask that you comfort the Black family. We, as a community, has lost a great man who had his finger on a lot of different things here in the city. A passionate man who understood the preservation of a lot of things, from our youth to bricks to butterflies. Father, I know that if there's a wall in heaven, he'll be looking at every brick. So these things we ask in Yeshua's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for mentioning him. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to its republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Manager, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
There are none. I would like to mention just quickly, we are for the first time live streaming this meeting tonight. It's actually through YouTube, but you can access the link on the city's webpage, I imagine on the front page of it, or on our website. So.
Great, all right.
That's moving uptown.
Hello, YouTube watchers. Welcome. All right, up first, Commissioner Abraham, you have a motion to accept the minutes from the last meeting.
I do. I move that the reading of the minutes for the March 14th, 2017 City Commission meeting be waived, and that the minutes of said meetings prepared by the city clerk be approved as written.
Second.
All right, City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Holland?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Harless?
Aye. Commissioner Holland?
I move that a municipal order entitled "A Municipal Order Adopting City of Paducah, Kentucky Public Housing Agency Annual Plan for Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program for fiscal year 2017 be adopted."
Second.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening. I'm well.
What you have in front of you is our annual, plan that we're required to submit each year. And it just schedules out the activities and the progress we've made since we've done our 5-year plan.
And she read Choice Voucher Program. Is that a specific part of your big plan?
Housing Choice Voucher Program is the official HUD name for the Section 8 program.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Any other discussion?
I read it, but I don't have any questions.
Good to know.
It's standard.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Holland?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Harless?
Aye. Commissioner Rhodes?
Thank you, Mayor. I move that a municipal order entitled "A Municipal Order Adopting Revisions to the Utility Allowances for the Section 8 Housing Program as required by the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as revised be adopted."
Second.
Again, we adjust our utility allowances, and utility allowances is what we deduct off the 30% of income when we're calculating for the tenant to pay. So we have to adjust each year to keep up with the fluctuations in utility rates. As you can see, we had all increases except for electricity, which decreased a little bit over the last calendar year.
Great.
All right, I do have a real quick, it's a really quick
Yes.
question. It's not really even very important. But looking down on that survey, and I'm not going to put you on the spot, but it talks about what houses had bottled gas, electricity, and natural gas. Not that many had, on the chart, had air conditioning. I probably just misread it. But is that
Air conditioning is a portion of the utility allowance, yes.
But I was thinking, do most homes, maybe I
Yes.
read the chart, but.
Most homes do have air
Okay,
conditioning.
well, that was, thank you. That's all, I just couldn't imagine this day and age. Okay. Thank you.
What,
I grew up
what's the, folks, you talk about Section 8 all the time. What is it where are the income level to qualify for Section 8? How does that?
HUD publishes a income guideline. I think, right off the top of my head, a two-person household cannot gross over 27,000, I believe, somewhere in that range. So it goes by number of people in the household.
Is that kind of like parallel with the, what we use for poverty line?
Yes,
Pretty
yes,
much?
yes.
Okay, all right, thanks.
All right, City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Harless.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. Appreciate it. All right, Commissioner Wilson.
I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending Chapter 6 Alcoholic Beverages of the Paducah Code of Ordinances. This ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah hereby amends Section 6-4, permissible operating hours of Chapter 6 Alcoholic Beverages of the Code of Ordinances to allow on-premises consumption at microbreweries which hold an NQ4 retail malt beverage drink license on Sundays from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. It also provides that microbreweries which hold a NQ retail malt beverage package license to sell on Sundays from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Second?
All right, great. Do we have any discussion? We do have someone here that wants to make a comment on this specific issue. Do you want to come up, Mr. Hobbs?
Hello this evening. Appreciate the opportunity to speak. And I would like to speak in opposition to this ordinance passing mainly on Sundays because I look at it like remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. And there's a lot of things that could be impacted in our community with more people being able on the Sunday to get out. And it seems to me that we could possibly, have more accidents and have more people that get in trouble with the law and different things. I grew up in a home, had a dad that drank a lot and come in staggering at night, and it's pretty tough to go through that. And I'd like to ask if they do pass this, that people obey the laws and drink in moderation and not get out and drive. I also had some friends that I think it was New Year's Eve that they were out and the entire family was killed. And so that was pretty tough because of an alcoholic, a person that was inebriated. But it can lead to loss of jobs, and it can lead to, I guess, split up homes and et cetera. And so I was just wanting to speak to this, and but I'll abide by whatever y'all's decision is on this. All right,
Well, thank you for being
Thank
here.
you.
We really appreciate that. Does anyone want to make a comment first? I will. Or go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, that's well, I'll just say, my perspective on this, and I was talking to Mr. Hobbs before the meeting about this specific thing. If we were looking at, 10 to 20 breweries in our community, that might be a whole different conversation. We have 2, and one is already open on Sundays because of they have a restaurant. And so the good news is that the other brewery has a restaurant next door to it now, the Mellow Mushroom. And so as far as, being able to have food along with drinking, which is always a good idea, that's available even more readily now. now than it was before. So I'm not as concerned because I think with the two being in town, we are not going to see that much of an increase. And I would say, you know, I think that even our police department has started to pay attention to those kinds of things, and we know that we have this culture kind of being developed in Paducah, and I think we paid attention. But I don't think we should ignore if there are things that start to tick up, more accidents and things like that. I think we definitely need to come back to the table and have another conversation if that starts to happen. But I like to be proactive on this a little bit rather than reactive about it. So. Anyone else want to say something?
Well, I would just say everything else is already allowed throughout the whole community. It was just really this one. The other one is not open on Sunday.
Oh, they're not open, but they could be.
They could be
They
open.
could be.
They're not. They've chosen not to be.
Okay.
But this is the only one that's not open. The rest of the city is wet on Sundays. So it's not like to me, a huge change. It's just for that one. But thank you.
Anyone else want to say anything? Anyone? All right. Thank you again for being here. City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Holland?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Harless?
Aye. All right, we have a presentation tonight by Ed McManus about our 911 Communication Services Department. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a little more of a report card, I guess. I won't try to keep you guys here too long. We're going to talk about two things, the organization itself, but before that, we're going to talk about the upgrade project briefly. As you know, that's ongoing. We meet every Friday, teleconference with federal engineering, and we map out the tasks for the week and weeks and months. So where we are with that in the phase one of the 911, and when I say phase one, I've put us all on the same page. We're talking the CAD and telephony system, is some of the RFPs are written, parts of it, and we're expecting that to be done along with the terms and conditions in about 30 to 45 days. And then after that, we'll release it for bid and about a 30-day deadline. So hopefully if things stay on track, in about 90 days, we should have some concrete numbers and move into the next phase of that. Again, that changes week to week. Things enter the equation, but everyone's been very diligent on the team. Chief Kyle, Chief Barneal, Assistant Director Springer. So we're doing a great job there. This Thursday, we are traveling to Henderson to look at hosted solution through, it's an ATT hosted solution, and there's a provider, a second one has entered the game, and it's called West. And then April 4th through the 6th, we're going to try to get Airbus, the other one here. This is in relation to, we're applying for a grant to cover that expense. And so they're going to demonstrate their equipment for us. So we're going to travel to Henderson Thursday. So moving forward, the organization itself, as you're aware, I came on October 20th, and we set out several tasks together for me to accomplish and set a direction for the organization and myself as the administrator. So I want to run through briefly. March the 3rd, as per contract, we have quarterly user group meetings. We held the first one March 3rd. That was a very long list, so I've extracted the highlights to kind of give you a solid overview, hopefully, of where we are today. So when I came on, the first thing I did was I held one-on-one meetings with all the employees, and in time, and it took some time to make that happen, I also held one-on-one meetings with all the user agency department heads at their facility so I could get a grip on their facility and what their operation looks like. And initially, along with the meetings, I did an internal survey of all employees, and then we did surveys of all the user groups. So when we move forward, after all of their surveys, we came up with some things identified that we needed to do as an organization, and maybe some things, I guess, that the organization itself maybe wanted from me and from the city. And kind of three things stood out there, and that was security for their job and stability of the organization and some direction. So with those three nuggets, if you will, in mind, we set out on a path to move the organization forward. One of the things that we attacked was the culture and philosophy. What does it look like today, and what do we want it to look like in the future? So through one-on-one meetings with all the employees, we talked about that. We talked about communication and many other things, and how they wanted their organization to look and feel and perform. And one of the things we came up with was access at all levels. You know, it's, communication's a big issue there, had been, and so, you know, we have the premise, if you want to know, just ask, and that's from the director on down, and in reverse. You know, if I want to know, of course, I'll ask. But, you know, there's no need to keep secrets from the employees in a small organization like that. If it's a sensitive issue, then we simply say we can talk about it. And fair enough. You know when you have an issue, you have a voice or a channel to go to help resolve it. But with that, it's not random. We also identified chain of command issues, and we put a structure in place to follow that all the way to the director if necessary, and for the director to follow it in reverse. If I go into the communications room and I need something, I speak to the supervisor first. So we put a solid structure there of communication and outreach to all levels. Excuse me. And let me back up. I overlooked one thing here. On the surveys, just you guys may not be aware, and since we are streaming live, we did a survey of every user agency, 10 of them. And then Pam Spencer was kind enough to put those on the city's 911 website. Simple 10-question survey that we will do on an annual basis, but if any of you want to spend some time seeing what other agencies, their perception and interaction with us and how it works, thank you very much. Excuse me. Please visit that and review those surveys, and if you have any questions, please reach out. So then we moved on from the culture and philosophy. We'll talk about supervision. Supervision was, I don't want to say it, it was functioning, but there were so many opportunities for improvement, and we identified those. And the one thing is, supervisors really weren't empowered. They're basically told what to do each day, or just kind of made their way and did things as they saw fit. So we structured and we empowered them, and we found many things that they can do at their level to take responsibility from administration, to allow administration to focus on larger tasks. So as supervisors are empowered, they own their shift. They're responsible for all scheduling issues. Of course, training issues come from our level. And it's amazing, they've done really well. They work with themselves. You know, we've told them, don't bother us. We'll monitor over time. If you just hit a bump you can't get past, then of course reach out will help. But they work together, they communicate. You know, they'll move employees around amongst themselves to cover. And they've done an excellent job since we've empowered them to do that. And basically I said, we just create a total ownership model. If you're a supervisor, you have total ownership at this level. So in interviewing and speaking with the supervisors, what they need is career development. All of them want to be able to move forward in the organization. They get the opportunity. They want to feel confident and trained in what they do as that level of management. So we've identified, and we're hoping to do this in the next 3 years, and I say 3 years because the classes are limited. We've already applied for one in August, got put on standby, and got set aside. So we have to reapply for one, I think, in September. But there's an 80-hour course in Department of Criminal Justice Training called Leadership 911. And then once that is completed by all 4 sergeant supervisors, they will then move to telecommunication executive development. That's a 120-hour course held at the Department of Criminal Justice Training. So if there's anything they're lacking in understanding on the administrative side that maybe they haven't been exposed to, this will give them the ability and knowledge to plug in that side of being a supervisor. So we're very excited about being able to send them to do that. And going forward, should we have a vacancy in supervision, then that will be your step always as a promoted supervisor. And let's see, employee recognition was something else that we felt was important. Supervisors' first order of the day when they come in is employee recognition. There won't be that many opportunities, but let's make sure we don't miss any of those. To add with that, we also enter social media. We do have a Facebook page, but the Facebook page has 2 focuses. That's employee recognition and agency promotion. That's it. We're not a news feed. We're welcome. We have about 500 followers. The young man that's in charge of that's doing an excellent job, and we put a lot of good information on there, but it's mostly about employee performance in the agency and where we're headed and what we're doing. And from that, we will continue to do some more community outreach. We're just getting there one step at a time. And then lastly, our building. You know, the building, we've been in that over there, I think, probably 25 years. So when I onboarded in October, a lot of little things just kind of jumped out. So We've taken care of a lot of the small things. We have been able to do a few larger things. But if you've been over there in the past, you come over there now, I think the building probably has a whole new look and feel. And we will continue to seize every opportunity to make our houses as presentable as possible. That's it.
Are you giving tours?
We will give you a tour.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well,
Might even let you talk on the radio.
I'm convinced that I haven't done it in the last 6 months.
Come on over.
I really think you should
Looks
mention the
great.
window concept. I think people will embrace that.
Yeah, the window concept we were looking at, actually, Rick Murphy's going to be over Friday morning to meet with us. The communication room, as you know, the community may not, there are no windows. You know, it's almost like a casino. When you go into a casino, there's no windows, no clocks, but we do have a clock on the wall. But, you know, they have no interaction with the outside other than the radio. And one of the first things that was said to me, hey, can we get some windows? I don't know, maybe we can. Let's see if we can solve this problem. Because they just want to be able to look out, see the rest of the world once in a while. Even
That was one of my first observations. I was amazed that they could sit in that dark room with computer screens. Is it 12-hour shifts?
12-hour shift.
Yes. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I hope that the window thing works out, Rick.
Yeah, let's hope so. Yeah, they're only linked to the outside of the radio and a telephone.
I guess I
So
just thought
it's a
I
good
thought there was a
idea.
reason for
Yeah,
that.
so I feel like they're all like that when you see them on TV.
Well, if you look at the original design of the building, you know, the north wall has a small windows up top, but it was designed as one building. Once we put IT and 911 in there and made two sections, and they wound up with no windows. So we're going to do our absolute best to accommodate them on that, and make them as comfortable as they can. They do an excellent job. Here of late, they've had a few taxing events, and we've gotten good feedback, a lot of praises with the trash truck issue last week and the storm. They pull together and work real hard, and they are all focused and want to be better. They want to be the best agency they can be. They want to be, when you talk about dispatch agencies in Kentucky, they want to be the one that people point to and say, here's how it should be done. We're very much looking forward to continue moving in that direction. I think we're headed that way.
Great. Question or a comment?
Just a comment over the things that you talked about since you've been on board. The thing that jumps out at me is that the supervisors taking ownership of their shift and the empowering of our people, identifying opportunities for them to move forward to enhance their knowledge of their profession. I think whenever you have those types of components in that type of environment, the production level's high, expectations are high, and when you have that type of opportunity, they feel confident in meeting those expectations. So, commend you on that thus far.
Thank you.
Mr. Holland? Anyone else? One thing I was going to ask you to do really quick, because this is a very technical conversation about the technology requirements. What would you just explain? I know we have 3 components to this. We have the CAD, telephony, and the radio. Would you give us the layperson definition of those 3 things?
Absolutely.
Would you be willing to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
CAD, real simple, is the computer system. Okay, the screens, it keeps up, tracks all the data, you know, mapping, everything that you see on those screens. Okay, computer, CAD, just simple as CAD equals computer. Telephony equals telephone system. Some people will call it the 911 system, and the engineering firm actually calls it the 911 system. But that's a telephone system, from picking up and dialing 911 as a user all the way through the hostage exchange to our agency and the interaction back and forth, the telephone system. And then, of course, the radio system is radio. I mean, we're talking radios in the car, radios on the hips of the fire and police. The backbone that's inside the agency, there's a huge amount of servers and exchangers and all kinds of things in the back room there. So when we say radio, we don't mean just the thing you pick up and talk, you know, all the way up to the antennas on the towers, the whole thing. It all works together. It's like a big spinal cord. So that's the 3 components: computer, telephone, radio system.
Got it.
How's that?
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Anyone else?
Thank you.
All right, thank you for doing
All right.
that. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Need water for the next person?
I think it's still 6 season. Let's don't do that. All right, city manager, you have a report?
Thank you, Mayor. And there will be something brought forward in the budget regarding the Phase 1 telephone and CAD project. We've had a lot of feedback from the community on the recycling area at our new transfer station that's been constructed and operated under contract by Freedom Waste, and we've been in communication pretty regular on that issue for about 10 days now, and we continue to be on almost a daily basis. We are meeting with officials of Freedom tomorrow to discuss what remains to be done to get the recycling area up to the standards that we think our public deserves. And there are a couple of remaining items in the overall footprint construction that have been needing to be communicated on, so that will be covered in that meeting as well. So expect that the operation is going to improve there in the upcoming future. I do want to address one thing there. I've had some wonderment as to whether or not the recycling is still single stream there, and it is. So it's not necessary to separate materials. All the acceptable recyclables can be brought in a single container, if you will, and deposited together. So I wanted to make sure that that was clear for everybody.
So no separating corrugated cardboard.
It's not required to be.
It could be confusing because on the
Bins.
dumpsters, 2 of the 3 were marked with what it should have in it, paper, cardboard, and the 3rd one wasn't marked.
And that's one of the things we're going to talk about tomorrow, and that's one of the wonderments we have. Why are there as many containers as there are? So, I mean, I confirmed even with the place where the recyclables are transported that they are still acceptable to be received. They're single stream. I talked to our Dream Green today about their procedures, and they are still depositing material single stream. So that's one of the questions we'll have for tomorrow.
That's good to know.
So
Does it help
Makes it
them
easier.
possibly in, locally in their resale?
well, the thing is that the place that they are taking their materials, which is in Hopkinsville, does manual sorting there. It's not the automated system that we saw in St. Louis by a long shot, but it still does the job. And I don't know what the market basket of recyclables looks like right now in terms of what commodities are bringing what money or costing what money to be marketed. But single stream is still the lay of the land.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it makes sense because users have a hard time. Like, I saw a bunch of cardboard boxes in plastic bags. So if that's what you're getting at the other end, it has to be sorted regardless,
Yeah,
right? So it's
yeah.
kind of,
And when we hear
inefficiency thing.
cardboard, we know that that's the one commodity of the whole market basket that, even though it's not worth nearly as much as it was at one time, still has retained some value on the market. So if there was anything that would benefit whomever by sorting, it would be that. Then the other issue with cardboard is that clean cardboard is one thing, soiled cardboard is quite another in the market. So we'll ask about those things tomorrow.
Ask if they can have a separate cardboard for corrugated cardboard. Those big square dumpsters that have the plastic lids. And I'm being really selfish.
you mean the
but
big pieces of cardboard
Yeah.
specifically.
And so when you compass your cardboard, we put lots of pieces in a smaller box and you shove the whole box into there, and it's very
Because it's so bulky,
Mm-hmm,
yeah. So I think we have a good feel for what the users' needs are there. I mean, having run that drop point system ourselves for a number of months very well, I think. I'd like to give kudos to us on
You
that.
did a great job.
So there's that. The process of doing
It's
some.
pictures.
Yeah, I'll add those to my array.
Investigating.
The
I have
process-
one too, if you need one.
The process of doing the street markings on Broadway and Lone Oak Road near that intersection will take place this week, weather permitting. As you might expect, we have to do a little prep there. We have to clean the curbs, so they'll hold paint and it'll properly adhere and all those kind of things. But it's expected that it will be done this week unless it rains the rest of the week. Our Public Works Director has had conversation with the adjoining commercial businesses about that, and there's good accord for that. There's no problem in anybody's mind with doing that, so that's moving forward.
I have a question about the recycling, actually. Can we go back to that?
Yeah.
So like the other commissioners, I got a lot of feedback about the drop-off point, but I've also gotten several questions about if we are moving towards curbside pickup at any point in the future.
Unless I have further direction from the commission, there's no active effort at present to do that. And again, the difficulty with that is the imbalance associated with the cost of handling that material and the cost that we pay for someone else to take it. As you might know, and you may not know being new, but our contract with Freedom Waste, we pay them approximately $10 more per ton to handle, is that the right word, recyclables than what we do the material that goes to the landfill. So it's actually costing the city more money to divert recyclables from the waste stream. And I don't want to get into a discussion about the value side of that because we all have, our feelings about that. But the fact of the matter is the economics of that are somewhat upside down. And I guess as time goes on and more time goes on before that situation changes, we'll begin to wonder if it ever will. But it is what it is now. And of course, the price of petroleum has had a lot to do with that. And as you might have heard, petroleum dropped $10 a barrel a week or two ago from what it had been. And what it had been was half of what it got to not too many years ago. So that really impacts the economic side of recycling when petroleum is as inexpensive as it is, unfortunately.
We remember a couple of years ago when we first started this conversation, and we went to St. Louis, and at that time, oil was expensive, and we thought, oh, we're gonna make money at this recycling to help offset the cost of all this. And then, the world, the energy market collapsed, and as I oftentimes think, well, iron floats and wood sinks, because it's just completely off-kilter to what you would think would be the normal economic situation. But it is the hand we were dealt with.
All right.
One other thing I'd
Oh,
like to mention, if you get a chance, be aware that there are a number of improvements taking place in and around the recently relocated pavilion. I don't know, Rick, would you like to speak to that briefly to improve the access there for motorists, pedestrians, so on and so forth?
I've got so many projects in my head right now. The pavilion, which pavilion?
The street.
On Campbell
Campbell Street and the sidewalk and all that good
Okay,
stuff.
yes, okay, thank you. I'm sorry. Campbell Street between well, I refer to it as the dome, but okay. Campbell Street between 8th Street and 6th Street is being improved. As we improved 6th Street last year to make way for our visitors and quilt show, to provide on street side parking because we have a lot of vendors and stuff. And if you'll remember, Campbell Street had a curb on one side but did not on the other. And we had a little bit of emergency traffic concern last year. By making these improvements, we'll be ready for vendors and visitors alike for that. It will not be totally done. We will have the curb and gutter down the side. We'll have parking, but the final, I guess, wearing surface, the final pavement, the nice smooth pavement will not be done, but we will have pavement down for our visitors.
You're putting sidewalks up Campbell?
Yes, we are. As a matter of fact, coming down 6th Street, as if you were coming from the Lower Town neighborhoods and maybe you wanted to find your way to the Greenway Trail, you'd come down a sidewalk, you'd go up the sidewalk, and right there's a Greenway Trail, If you would like to go head out toward, I guess, the west end of town, you can go that way. If you want to come on into the Part 5 of the Greenway Trail, or Phase 4 of the Greenway Trail, you can come that way too. But this is also to allow visitors from the convention center to have a walking path so they can walk from the convention center more safely through the parking lot, over the flood wall, into the dome, or into the
Pavilion.
pavilion. Thank you.
You remembered.
Huh?
You reeled it all back in. Good job.
I wanted to bring attention to this because it is part of the relocation project with the pavilion, and that was a big decision, and I think in the long term, still a good decision. And last year was the first run of the quilt show in the pavilion at that new site, and as I recall, the feedback was very, very positive, especially on the part of the vendors, because it's a much better area to stage for them to get in and out of them than what the former location was. So we look forward to that again, and also improved vehicular and pedestrian access to that from what it had been last year, because we were kind of came to the finish line pretty quick last year before we had to be ready to have people coming in and out, so.
And another thing, Jeff, as we spoke today, the hotel, we'll be working with the hotel folks. I'm not sure of their schedule, but I mean, as far as the streets and the construction around that, we'll be working closely with them to put on the best show we can, or have the best walking surfaces we can around that, because of the construction of the hotel as well.
That's all I have, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
All right, any comments from the commissioners? Anyone want to say anything? No?
I don't have anything.
All right. Well, with that, I make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right, we're adjourned.